In this video, I'm going to show you how the modern periodic table is organized and help you distinguish between metals, nonmetals, and metalloids on the periodic table based on their location and their properties. And I'm going to help you identify the charges of groups 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7 and their ions on the periodic table. So the periodic table is organized by atomic number. And if you remember, if I zoom in here, hydrogen has an atomic number of 1. And if you read from left to right, see helium on the right has an atomic number of 2. Start back on this row, lithium has an atomic number of 3. Next, beryllium has an atomic number of 4. So as you read from left to right, you're increasing in the atomic number, or the number of protons. The periodic table is split into 3 groups: metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Metals I have highlighted here in blue and take up most of the left side and the middle of the table, with the one exception of hydrogen in the upper left. Nonmetals are highlighted in yellow and are on the right side of the periodic table, and also include that hydrogen over there in the upper left. Metalloids kind of are sandwiched in between metals and nonmetals, and we'll learn that they kind of exhibit characteristics of both metals and nonmetals. As far as their properties, metals have a high luster, or they're shiny. They're solid at room temperature, with the exception of mercury. They're very good conductors of electricity and heat, which means they allow charges and heat to flow through them easily. They're ductile, which means they can be made into wire. So lots of wires made out of metals such as copper and gold. Metals are also malleable, which means they can be pressed or hammered into shape. Nonmetals, on the other hand, are gases at room temperature, and they're dull. They're not shiny. They're very poor conductors, so you wouldn't use them for electricity purposes. They're very brittle, and really all of these characteristics are kind of just the opposite of what you see in metals. Metalloids, because they're kind of sandwiched in between metals and nonmetals, actually can show characteristics of both. It depends on which metalloid you are looking at. Okay, the periodic table is also organized into groups and periods. And groups, here we have group 1, is a column. Group 1 is this first column. Group 2 is the second column. Some periodic tables continue with 3 and 4, but the classic periodic table goes all the way past these transition metals here, and then we have group 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So groups are referring to the columns, where the rows refer to periods. And we have periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are our rows or periods. Now it turns out that this periodic table is organized based on a lot of properties, but one of the important ones are the positions of the electrons. And so what I'm going to help you do is figure out the charges of groups 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7 ions in the periodic table. So because of the structure of these atoms in group 1 and the way or the placement of their electrons, they tend to lose an electron and form an ion or a charged atom of +1. Atoms in group 2, or elements in group 2, tend to lose 2 electrons and often form a +2 charge. Atoms or elements in group 3 tend to lose 3 electrons and form a +3 charge. For groups 5, 6, and 7, they're less likely to lose electrons and more likely to gain electrons. And if you are in group 5, you tend to gain 3 electrons and form a -3 charged ion. If you're in group 6, you tend to gain 2 electrons and have a -2 charge. And if you are in group 7, you tend to gain 1 electron and form a -1 ion. Elements in group 8 are noble gases, and they never form ions because they are very happy with the amount of electrons that they have inside their atoms. So that's the periodic table. Thanks for watching.